Hey guys, it doesn't matter,
Ellen the Dream.
and this is a special edition episode of our podcast, Confessions of a Stan Mixer Edition. Today we are doing the Confetti tour review. So we did like a first impressions episode, and then we told you guys we would do a review one. So that is what we are here to do today. Oh, we are very late doing it, clearly. Which would be my fault. I'm very busy right now and we haven't had time to record. Um, and clearly, I've been busy enough that I also have not been consistently posting, so I apologize about that too. I swear that I'm working on it and I'm going to try to be better about that. And also, I can tease, because if I let you guys know, maybe I'll be more accountable. I can tease that the next episode after this is a special edition episode as well, and it may or may not feature a special guest and us playing a game. Um,
Woo!
um, which we had a lot of fun doing.
It was
I've been
very
trying
fun.
to get it out to you guys for a few weeks now, but I'm just so freaking busy. Um, so yes, that is that. And so we are going to do this breakdown now. Some things to note: there is a storm happening outside my window, and occasionally the thunder is extremely loud. So beware of that. Also, we are having lots of cats, lots of pets interrupting today. Lots of meowing, lots of barking, that type of thing. And also, I am feeling under the weather today, so I'm just like a little slow. Hopefully, I'm not slurring my speech. And things are just a little like. So there is all of those things for you guys to be aware of. Also, because we're kind of like a little bit out of practice and so busy and I'm not really feeling well, this is not really like a super structured discussion that we're going to have. We usually try to like be more structured when we do tour reviews or like tour versus tour. But for this one, we're just kind of like word vomit in a semi format.
Yeah.
um, and just kind of like discuss and that type of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much that. What do you want to start with?
I have vocals first, so I don't know if we just
Okay, yeah,
want
same.
to okay.
Um, so, um, vocally, how do I feel? I didn't really take notes, guys. I'm kind of just winging it, so I might need a moment, or I might like talk long enough to figure out what I want to say. um, um, there was like a lot of lip syncing, like more than usual, especially for Leigh-Anne and Perry. Um, I don't necessarily think that's like a super negative con. And I don't really recall them lip syncing anything that I was like really disappointed about. Um, and they did like Love Me or Leave Me mostly live, except for like Lee's last note. So I was like really kind of like pleased with that. Um, and um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that ultimately Um, there was a lot of lipping, but I feel like it wasn't really like moments I was terribly upset about. And then like the vocals we did get, I didn't really have any vocal moments that I like really loved and looked forward to on this tour. Then I'm trying to remember. I don't have the set list in front of me, which I should probably look up because that would be helpful. um, and here it is. Okay. Um, I think, yeah, I'm just looking down the set list like Breakup Song, Wings, Power, Close Up, Move, Secret Love Song. I guess, like, okay, I guess once I go through on the list, I'll just give like a couple vocal highlights, just to kind of like say something. um, So there's nothing that really stood out to me in Shot to My Ex. Heartbreak Anthem vocally just sounded so much better to me live in general. I still don't particularly like the song, but like just in general, I thought the vocals were just much better live. Um, Breakup song, I would say there really wasn't much of anything. Maybe Jade's Bridge. Um, Wings, there wasn't really anything. Power's kind of meh. Um, Glows Up is kind of meh. Uh, I liked Lee's like lip sync verse covering Jesse's pre-chorus. Secret Love Song, meh. Um, Woman Like Me, the vocal highlight for me of that was Perry covering Jesse's second verse. Happiness I just really didn't like live for some reason. Um, No More Sad Songs, kind of meh. Um, Love Me or Leave Me. Probably Perry was my favorite part of Love Me or Leave Me. I thought it was going to be Jade, but then Jade did a lot of things I didn't like. Um, Between Us, I don't really like. Love Sweet Love was eh. Reggaeton Lento, meh. Wasabi, Usual. Black Magic, meh. Salute, meh. Touch, meh. Only You, meh. No Time for Your Tears. Kind of like Perry's part in No Time for Tears, the chorus. And I know it's lipped, but I like the moving on part. I mean, I kind of liked all of it, and I like that she did the other parts of the chorus live. But like, I also like the moving on part. It's one of my favorite parts of the song, studio and live, because it sounds like signed, sealed, delivered. um, um, Confetti, meh. Sweet Melody was probably mm, Perry's verse or Jade's opening. Yeah, so those are just kind of my vocal highlights, I guess.
So, as far as like lipping stuff, okay, well, okay, guys, I don't know much about vocals, so like here's my 2 cents. So it's not going to be super like analytical because I have no idea what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, like lipping wise, I don't really care. Like it's not make it, break it, hit or miss, whatever. Like I don't care what they lip, how often they lip it. Um it's not something that I think like affects their ability or anything. Like I guess some other people do. Um the only thing I will say is like I do like it when they maybe mix up what they're lipping so it's not like the same part over and over like, "Oh, I'll do this part tonight and then lip it tomorrow," and then switch it around like that. There's not really like anything in particular that I'm like, oh, I wish they would have done that here. But when they do that, I prefer that.
Mm.
Um, and as far as like the songs that I think were like my personal highlights, I would definitely agree with Heartbreak Anthem. Like way better live. Definitely probably my favorite song they did live. Um, yeah, it was just like 10 times better than the studio. And honestly, like I have to say, similarly to Between Us, like I thought it was way better live. There's not like anything in particular that I was like, yes, this part in the song. I just think like overall, I enjoyed it live. I'm not 100% sure whether that's like,
I think it was the vibe and the emotion of
yeah,
the.
I'm not 100% sure if it was vocals or the vibe or like a mixture of both, but I'll throw it in there. Um, and I would say like my least like that those are the highs. And I think the low for me was probably Love Sweet Love. It just didn't I preferred the studio. Um but nothing like there wasn't anything in there I was like, oof, that part's bad. It was just like not my favorite. Um and then I guess for like them switching up, I guess, their parts on tour because that was something that happened a lot. I in person live, I thought it was great. Going back and rewatching certain clips, I'm like, kind of wish they had done the original version.
Mm,
Um, and like, mainly because they did it for every show most of the time. If it was again kind of like lipping, if it was like just sometimes, I thought that would have been fine. But because it is the last tour, like I want to hear the original, how it was originally done.
yeah, same.
So that's my thoughts.
Okay, so those are kind of vocals. I have costumes next.
Okay.
Um, don't really have a lot to say about this because I don't really have anything positive to say. I didn't like them. I didn't like any of them. So some of them just like actually all of them for the most part just like aren't to my taste, to like my personal preference, which is
Mhm.
just like completely subjective. As like an objective critique, I thought they looked really cheap. And I thought that some of them were not very flattering to the girls. And I thought that some of them objectively just like did not feel cohesive as a group. And normally they do a really good job with that. So I was a little disappointed with that. And that's kind of all I have to say.
Yeah, I agree. They're just not my taste or style or anything, and so that definitely like brings them down. Um I do feel like the neon ones have grown on me more to the point where
Which neon ones?
the pink, green, and orange.
Oh, the fairy ones.
Yeah. The fairy ones. Yeah. Those are probably like my favorite out of the concert because they seem the most cohesive to me, like coloring. Whereas like the Statue of Liberty ones, I just can't get behind.
Mm-hmm.
In case you don't know, Statue of Liberty ones are Sweet Love ones. I just call them
Yeah.
the Statue of Liberty ones.
Yeah, sorry guys. We've like nicknamed all the costumes like between ourselves, so like I know what she's talking about.
Yeah, but like not to the point where I'm like, yes, those are like the costumes. It's to the point where I'm more of just like used to them. It's like the
Mhm.
same thing with the Glory Days like track like racetrack ones where I'm like, not my favorite, but they're there. They're fine.
Mhm.
So that's they've ish grown on me.
I have Setlist next.
Okay.
Um, I think that I mean, I feel like my opinion hasn't really changed that much. I don't remember whether I forgot to mention this or I did mention this for first impressions. But I just want to mention it again because like I still feel strongly about it. That Shout to My Ex was like a really nice starting song. I initially was like kind of unsure about it and I didn't know how I felt because I was expecting like Gloves Up or Power or Woman Like Me or you know what I mean, just something like dance heavy and like wow and cinematic.
Mhm.
Um just because like that's normally what they do. But I think that Shout Out to My Ex is just so iconic and special to their career that for like a last tour, I think it was right.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I mentioned that last time, but in case I didn't, I just wanted to say it here. I know everyone kind of like wanted Move to be replaced, but I'm actually really happy they did Move because I don't know, it's just one that I always like really enjoy live. Um, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't miss Jesse's voice in the song. Um, but despite that, I still enjoyed it. I am not speaking to the choreography involved. um, just talking about the song. Um, and let me look at the sounds again, guys. Sorry, I feel like I just like my brain just like isn't working properly. Heartbreak Anthem, I really thought I was like dreading, but it really just turned out to be so much better live. And so if they had to perform it, I'm glad it ended up being better than I expected. Um, Breakup Song and like Wings really weren't it for me. Gloves Up was kind of like worse than I expected, to be honest. Power, I felt like really was not good. And that was really disappointing because Power is one of my favorite songs. Um, Secret Love Song, and they always perform, so I wasn't surprised, but as always, it's kind of meh for me. Um, Woman Like Me, really wish I liked The Rock more. Given more time, it's still not really my favorite. But I really appreciate the attempt. Um, Happiness, I it's like one of my preferred songs on Confetti, but I just really, really didn't like it live for some reason. And the more
Mhm.
I watched it, the less I liked it. It was really weird.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, that took me by surprise. No More Sad Songs, I really felt got gypped. It really was sad this tour.
It
Um,
was on the platform.
yeah, it was really
Stupid
sad.
platform. We'll get there.
Um, Love Me or Leave Me, I am glad that we got it live. There are just a couple things that just kind of made it not exactly what I wanted, but I'm being nitpicky. But just like a lot of Jade's note changes, I just really wanted the studio version, or like a really close version to the studio version. I didn't really want all like the extra frills.
Mm.
Um, and maybe like the last week of tour, if she wanted to do that, I would have been okay with it. But like she did it the entire time, and that just kind of made me feel like a little meh about it. Between Us, I still just really dislike. Like, I think I've grown to dislike it more and more as time goes. Um, I think I might feel differently about it if I had like been in the arena while it was emotional.
Mhm.
Um, and I think the instrumental has a lot to do with how I feel about it, because when they sang it stripped back as an encore, I didn't hate it nearly as much. um,
Yeah.
so I really think it has to do with like the instrumental. Um, but yeah, I really can't get behind it, unfortunately. Um, Love Sweet Love is Love Sweet Love. um, um, Reggaeton Lento, I kind of wish they'd performed something else, like a mess or something, like a different Confetti song, because it is the Confetti tour, and we've seen them perform
Yeah.
Reggaeton Lento like a cajillion thousand times, and there's nothing really special about it. So I just wish we'd gotten something else, something new. Um, Wasabi, this is going to be super unpopular to say. Actually, I have two things that are going to be really unpopular to
Oh
say.
god.
Um, um, let's start with the first one. um, I do honestly think that the song live
Oh.
vocally suffered from Jessie not being there. I honestly wasn't expecting that. Like, that wasn't one of the songs that I was anticipating her to leave a hole in,
Yeah.
but I very much felt like it was lacking a lot of things in her parts that they were covering. Um, and it just didn't hit right. You can disagree with me. That's fine. It's just my personal opinion. Um, the other thing is that I didn't really feel this way at the beginning of tour, but as like tour kept going and I kept like watching performances, um, I just kind of felt like there are moments built into the song, specifically like at the end, but in a couple other moments that are meant to be like, oh, like you said we're gonna break up, but like, what the fuck do you know? Like, to really emphasize that point and to like drive it home. Like, there's a lot of emphasis put on it. And I just kind of didn't like that because I felt like it was really like insincere and hypocritical, because like they are breaking up. I know some of you are going to get really upset with me using that term because like it's a hiatus, it's a break, they say they're coming back, whatever. Um but like they are, like, whatever you want to call it, like they are no more, and the chances that they are coming back as a full-time girl group are slim to none. I absolutely believe that they'll come back for reunions, like maybe a reunion tour, maybe like a reunion EP or something. But I don't ever believe they are coming back as a full-time girl group completely dedicated to Little Mix and not doing solo stuff and are willing to spend 3-4 years of their life making an album, releasing it, singles, music videos, tour. Like, I don't believe that that is the Little Mix we are ever getting again. I 1,000% think we'll get Little Mix content. I think maybe they'll even do songs together, maybe features. I think that they'll do a reunion tour and reunion performances, but I just don't think we're ever getting full time Little Mix again. And so I just felt like the fact that there was like choreographed into tours, such this like sassy clapback moment of something that's just not true anymore, was just like a little, I don't know, it like left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. That just like was something that started to bother me like as I kept watching performance after performance. Um so just, I know, unpopular opinion, but I don't know, personal opinion. Do you have anything about that? Like, is that just me? Not to get you in trouble, so you don't have to answer. But
No, it's fine. No, because like I know what you like. I didn't notice it until like we talked about it. Um, but
as usual,
yeah.
guys, we do little debriefings before we get on.
um, but yeah, because it is like it's not technically true, so it feels weird to be pushing that, I guess, like image when that's not the case. Because it made sense in LM5, like it 100% made sense. It made sense when the song was released. It made sense in the music video. It made sense everywhere else, but that's not the case now anymore. Like we are on a like indefinite hiatus, which again, they're most likely not going to come back full time. Like it's just that's just not like really feasible, honestly. Um, so I feel like it is a little bit weird to be pushing that when that's not what's going on. Because even if they had like maybe changed it around or like
Yeah, maybe if they just
I
like
don't
tweak
know.
the lyrics or something, to like acknowledge the fact that they're going on hiatus and I don't know. I don't know what it could have been tweaked to, but I just would have preferred it been tweaked at least. Or maybe they're just like not been an emphasis put on it, or I don't know. It didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, and like I don't think it was really on purpose, but it would have been like
I
it would have
mean, all
been
three of them singing at the end, like, when she like they're gonna break up. What the fuck do you know? Like,
oh yeah.
or like, what the hell do you know? And they'll like kick their legs. Like that felt pretty like intentional, you know?
I was given the benefit of the doubt. um yeah. Yeah, it's weird that like nobody else has picked up on that. Like I feel like we're the only ones who've noticed it.
I feel like honestly, a lot of fans just don't want to
That yeah, that's probably
notice
the
it.
case.
Yeah, I feel like they don't want to. And you know what? Fair enough. Like whatever.
Yeah,
But
like I
we
get
did, and you're here to listen to our thoughts. So,
it.
um, Black Magic. I like that they changed it up. I'm glad I didn't have to listen to the original because, ugh. That being said, I, the instrumental and the vocals of the remix was fine. The other parts of it were a thing that we'll get into later. Salute, I honestly just kind of felt like was really boring and like not really that great in comparison to previous tours. Um, Touch kind of felt the same way. I would have preferred going back to the Glory Days Touch just for like for sentimental reasons. Um, Only You, No Time for Tears mashup, whatever. Um, Confetti, I like that they switched to the original instead of the feature version. But I also just kind of felt like that one didn't hit as hard as or not hit as hard, rather. I just felt like I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to.
Mhm.
Um, Considering that, like, I like the rest of the song. Um, Sweet Melody kind of felt like a knockoff performance of every other performance. And I wish they had included some other things, and I did not particularly like some of the backtrack changes, and I don't know. Okay, anyway, that's my thoughts on the set list without trying to go into like other categories.
um yeah, I feel like my opinion on the set list is kind of similar to where it was in the first impressions. Whereas, like, when it first was released and I first saw it, I was really excited about it and, like, was like, yeah, this is a good set list. And then as time went on, I was, like, getting a little disappointed by it. Um, Maybe not as much as some fans, because I know that was, like, a very, like, popular topic on,
Hmm.
like, Twitter around tour time. But I definitely would have liked certain songs replaced, like Regento Lento, like, that doesn't need to be there. Like, we've heard it. We don't need
It really doesn't. It doesn't need to be there.
it. But, like, Move, very happy it was there because I love Move. Like, it's stuff like that. But I think my thing for the set list is that this is quote unquote the confetti tour. I feel like it should have been more geared towards confetti, like confetti between us, because, like, obviously, like, the whole, like, shift because of COVID, like, we didn't get the confetti tour in the confetti era. Um, but I feel like that would have been a little bit more realistic if we had more specific to those album set lists. Like, I don't know. Um, but at the same time, like, this is like the last tour, so, like, I feel like we should have advertised it as, like, final tour, like, I don't know.
I kind of like, and I said that I thought it was one of their better set lists, outside of maybe like Glory Days era, um, and like in the first impressions, and I still think that's kind of true.
Mhm.
But as far as like it being a last tour and it being a confetti tour, I felt like there were a lot of songs that just like didn't really deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Um, Like, I know that, like, a lot of the, like, quote unquote hits were chosen, but I kind of wish that instead of going based on, like, chart hits, they had chosen the songs that were, like, monumental to their career
Yeah.
and that, like, had personal meaning to them and and that, like, were their favorites and that the fans were connected to, and I don't know, I just wish it had been a bit more personalized, and I wish that they had done more confetti songs. I understand that like there were a lot of songs to get in, and that like we did kind of shift away from confetti, but I still wish they had performed more confetti songs. Like they didn't even perform holiday, and I didn't particularly want them to perform holiday, but like they literally just didn't perform the single. um,
Yeah.
so I don't know, I just kind of felt like a little meh about that. Like, and if you were gonna ditch holiday, like you might as well ditch breakup song. like
Honestly, that, like, yeah.
Like, not because I hate the song, but because, like, it wasn't a moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I felt like you should have, for your last ever tour, I feel like you should have been performing moments. And so I kind of wish that was what had happened with the set list. And we got like a little tiny bit of that with like Love Me or Leave Me and like Shout Out being the first song and stuff. But I don't know, I just felt like we didn't get like enough of it in my personal taste. And I think that also some of the songs that like were moments were kind of giving like the Shaft on tour, like No More Sad Songs.
Mhm.
And like Touch having the same kind of like backtrack and like the same choreo from like LM5 and Power having that same thing. I felt like they just kind of like weren't given like their due. Um, and so, and like Wings, like I would have loved to have the original Wings version.
Yeah.
Just because like I'd love to bring it back to the original or even just to get like a different remix, but like we got the LM5 version again. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess like that.
Yeah, like, I feel like this is very much the definition of, like, a weird mix between it being we have to cover the new songs because it's technically the confetti tour, but it's also our last tour, so we need to, like, throw these in there, which is fine, but I would have preferred maybe, like, had COVID not have happened, like, confetti tour, very much just confetti or between us, like, whatever, um specific to those, and then, like, a more goodbye tour where it was again, like, yeah, more monumental songs, a little bit more moments, like, just something like that, because it just felt like very messy and like we were going all over the place. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree with that. I feel like that's a good way to say it.
Um, but I also saw like a lot of fans were talking about like, oh well, there's still so many songs that they didn't sing yet. Like those should have been on the set list, like older songs or whatever. Which like is true. Like I wish we would have heard more songs that we just never did. But at the same time, I feel like some fans don't realize how much of like a shock to the system that can be to have like every single song be a new song that they've never sang before.
Hmm.
Um, because like obviously they need like their defaults because like that's like the comfort that's the comfort song, and so I feel like they were going to be there regardless. I just wish they were slightly different ones to some
Hmm.
extent. So yeah.
Okay, so that was set list. Specialty or tour is what I have next.
Yeah, that's what I have.
I guess just like Love Me or Leave Me, right?
Yeah.
Kind of it. Normally specialty or tour is like when there's like they like pull fans on stage or something, and it's like an unusual thing they do because like they did that during Glory Days, or like when they do like surprise performances of something, or I don't know.
Hmm.
Normally, I think that's what we put in specialty or tour, or like I think normally we do like special effects or staging or something that's unusual, but I don't really think we had anything like that.
No,
Um,
it was like too short of a tour too for like anything to really happen.
yeah, so I think like Love Me or Leave Me is kind of the only thing I would put in this category, and I mean, as kind of stated, just like happy about that, thumbs up.
Yeah, literally.
Next up, I have dancing.
Okay.
Um, I don't really want to talk about this that much, because just like the super blunt answer, because my medication is starting to wear off, guys. Um, is that it was just bad. Like in dancing, just to be clear, we separate dancing and choreo. So choreo is like the actual choreography, and dancing is like the execution of the choreography. Um, the dancing was just flat out not good. I don't think any of them were living up to their potential and what they've shown they can do. As a group, it was honestly cringy. Um, and I know people are going to get really mad at me, and they're going to talk about the pregnancies and the babies and not having enough time to prep tour and whatever. I don't need excuses, guys. I'm like I don't need the reasons why it was bad. Like we're talking about it, we're discussing it, we're reviewing the tour. The review of the tour is that it was bad, regardless of why it was bad and whether I think that's valid or a good excuse. It just was bad. And that was disappointing. Um and so that's just kind of all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I feel like they had like some standout moments that were like, oh yes, but I feel like it wasn't super consistent. Um, and I feel like there were certain parts that I did notice, like a part in like Sweet Melody or whatever, where I did notice it improve, like as in counts or like togetherness.
Improve, sure, but did it ever reach good?
No, not to like expectation level, but what we know they can do. It was disappointing. But what can you do? Like if this was just like a normal like festival performance or like what anything of that nature, I probably wouldn't have really like taken it into like any type of consideration. But because it was the last tour, that's why it's a little bit more
Yeah,
disappointing.
like a one-off performance that's like not that great. That's not really like something to be terribly upset about.
Yeah.
Um like that happens, like you have off performances.
Yeah.
Sometimes how big a stage is or the shape of it can throw you off. Sometimes if you haven't performed in a while, if it's new choreography, if you struggled with it in rehearsals, like that's really like not a big deal. But for this to be the last ever tour and for them to know it's the last ever tour and for that to be what they deemed acceptable and to be what they thought was um like how they wanted to have the last legacy of the group, like be the face of the last kind of thing they do, is just kind of disappointing. And no, I don't need you guys to be in the comments telling me that Perry and Lee have talked about how like they weren't prepared physically after giving birth to be dancing, because I'm aware, I've seen the comments, and my response to that is then there shouldn't have been choreography they weren't able to do. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem if there was less dancing. Um I don't think that's a problem at all. My issue is that they had that issue. They had the trouble of knowing they were struggling with the dancing aspect because of the pregnancy, because they were tired, because they didn't have enough time to prepare, whatever excuse you want to come up with. And they didn't alter the tour to fix it.
Yeah.
They didn't remove some of the choreography. They didn't make it easier. They didn't like bother to fix it. Like, and that's what like disappoints me.
Yeah. Um
Sorry, I said I wasn't going to go on about it, and now I am.
um oh no, I forgot I was gonna say. Oh, this has nothing to do with that, but it's another thing that I forgot. Um, I also think it was more disappointing because we know how well they can dance, and so to see it not be performed as well as we know is what really like just draws it in, brings it to attention.
I feel like it makes me kind of feel like they just didn't care.
Mm,
And like that like I want them to care about their last tour.
mm-hmm.
Um and I want them to care about the legacy of Little Mix. And I want them to care about maintaining the standard they spent 10 years building. And so I guess like the fact that they didn't bother to change the choreography or reduce it to be able to meet that makes me feel like they just didn't care enough. And that I think is what I actually find disappointing.
Yeah, just kind of be like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah, like it's good enough.
Yeah, yeah, I see that.
Moving on, unless you remember what you were going to say.
No, but it's gonna annoy me.
Hopefully, it'll come back to you in the middle of the podcast and you can
It
say
probably will.
it. I have stage production next.
Okay.
I really liked the idea of the staircase. I didn't love that it was never used.
Yeah.
um, that kind of made it feel like a waste. So that's unfortunate. I wish they had choreographed the stage into the show. Um, really weird to me that they didn't. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so just odd. The floating stage didn't really bother me that much, but I didn't particularly like it. Um, as usual, I don't particularly like the floating stages. You will have a much stronger opinion than me. Um, um, and I'm going to, I think, group in here the tour screens, not the tour visuals, but the physical tour screens, and
Mhm.
say that they were 10 out of 10. Like the
We
physical
love
screens,
them.
we really do. Like we love them to pieces. They're amazing. 10 out of 10.
No, we're
Simply
not being
like
sarcastic.
no, we're really
we're,
not.
we're dead
Like
serious, guys.
we're not over exaggerating. We're not being sarcastic. Like we're like seriously like 10 out of 10. Um and like I have to say like probably like the best tour screens since the UK Glory Days leg.
It really was, though. Like, yeah.
And like superior to like like Glory Days and maybe Salute, probably definitely DNA. Like after Glory Days UK leg might be their best like screens
Yeah.
in their career. So 10 out of 10.
I can't get over the screens. Because we would literally have talked about these screens for 20 minutes at one point, like just full on. Yeah, as for stages, that flying platform, I, you guys know how I feel about this platform. I don't know what irritates me so much about it. I just really dislike it. Um, it's just every time I see it, I'm like, oh, there we go again. Like, not a fan. But it's okay. Hopefully, in their solo days, we will eliminate said platform because I don't want to see it again. Yeah, I still appreciate the stairs. I just, like you said, I wish we had more content on it because they had the opportunity to do so much with it and it had really great potential. And like looks wise, it was great. Like real Beauty and the Beast moment.
Yeah.
Um it just didn't really have a purpose besides like the stairs, like the actual use of stairs
Yeah.
to go
And
places.
only at the end.
Yeah. So it would have been cool because they really could have done some cool stuff with it.
Mhm. And they could have done, like, probably easier choreo too with it. Like,
Yeah, because that would have given like the illusion of like something much more complex.
yeah, and it would have been easier on their bodies yeah, I think that there was really a missed opportunity with that.
Yeah. I mean, we were hard with the screens. Do they have any more stages? Those are the only two I wrote down.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Um, the stage itself.
Oh.
um, I thought it was fine. I thought it was, like, a little too big in the sense of,
Yeah.
like, too wide, like, they had a hard time kinda covering the whole stage. Um, but other than that, I think it was fine. I don't really have any, like, severe thoughts on it. Like I thought like on the Summer Hits tour, the stage was just way too humongous and there was just so many
Yeah.
gaps to fill and like I really thought like that one was just like same with kind of the Glory Days UK like the stage was just like too big. Um but like this one I felt like it was like a little too big, but not like too much that it was just like glaringly obvious.
Yeah. I think the stairs definitely helped with that too, to try
Yeah,
to
I think
like
yeah, I do
make
too.
it smaller.
Next up I have choreography unless you have something else to add to the stage.
No, there wasn't really much.
Choreography. This is totally subjective. Um, but I r- really did not like the new uh choreography. There wasn't a lot of new choreography, but the new choreography there was, I like flat out to be honest just like really disliked. Um like the new stuff in Salute, the new stuff in Sweet Melody, No, Move.
Twinkle toes.
Yeah, Twinkle Toes, my god. Um, yeah, they're just like I just was not a fan. I thought that like even when they had like the props for women like me, like it was just really messy and like not really well coordinated, and not really cohesive. And um I just this is just like my opinion, guys. Like everyone has different preferences for choreography. This is just my opinion. But I kind of felt like it just looked a little childish. And I felt like it kind of reminded me of like Get Weird and like OMG choreography.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just didn't like it. On another note, I didn't really like that we kept so much of the LM5 choreography. I understand that it was probably done for the purpose of like saving time and so they didn't have to learn as much new choreography and I appreciate that and like I understand why they would do that. But again, just like it being their last tour, I really wanted to feel like they cared. And even if that had meant going back to like Glory Days choreography or something, I would have been okay with that, like going back to like the original of something. Um, but to just like keep the LM5 stuff just feels a little lazy. And it kind of felt like they thought that like, well, we changed it ever so slightly with a new choreographer, so like that's it's good enough. Again, like kind of this feeling of like that's good enough and not really like caring that it meets the standards they've built for 10 years and that they like really cared about it being good and like different and like a final tour and I don't know. So like that was just kind of like disappointing. Um that's kind of all I have about choreo. It just like it's totally a subjective opinion. I just personally don't like that like type, that style.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. It's just wasn't what I prefer, I guess. Um and I wish there weren't so many reused things. Which, like, again, it was fine if it was reused. I just wish, like you had said, it had gone back to like the original or something. Like it wasn't LM5, which we've had for a while. Um,
Like, I wish if they had, like, wanted to kind of not relearn entire new choreo, then we had gotten sentimental things.
yeah, like the touch choreography. Like even though I personally like am not a fan of it, I think it was like messy on stage. The
Mhm.
fact that they like try to include that stuff like that, that was
Yeah,
nice.
like, I think it was messy on stage, and I kinda didn't like the changes that were made to it, but the fact that they, like, used the choreo, like, the floor choreo from the music video, like, even though it was messy, even though I didn't like the changes, like, I still rank that as, like, a special moment on the tour that I appreciate because it felt really sentimental and, like, a full circle moment.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like, I just wish there were more of those.
And there was like a lot of opportunity because they had Move on there, they had Wings on there. Like we could have
Mhm.
gone back to like those eras, which I think would have been cool as like a final tour
Yeah, like, a
add
nice
on.
tribute.
Yeah. Um but yeah, just overall, just the choreography style, I'm just not a fan of it. Like it's just not my taste. So I'm not really too fond of it.
Okay, moving on to audience interaction. Um, Kind of found it to be pretty average. Um,
Yeah.
I've seen them have better audience interaction on other tours. I've seen them had worse audience interaction on tours.
Yeah,
Meh.
it was kind of the same, just like depending on location,
Hmm.
it was either more or less.
Scope of the tour. I don't really think it's fair to like hold this against them. Like,
Yeah.
clearly, like a global pandemic is a very good reason to not be able to go outside the UK. Um, like the legal reasons alone.
Yeah.
And then like the safety of traveling with babies and stuff. Like, I just think that like I wouldn't hold that against them. Like I understand like it's disappointing and that like like they didn't come to the US, we couldn't see them. They didn't go to Europe, so like they couldn't see them. They didn't tour like South America, which is like people have been really waiting for and stuff. So I understand it's like disappointing because it was like the last tour, but I just like don't think you can hold that against them.
Yeah. Like, am I disappointed that they were like confined to the UK? Yes. Do I blame them? No. Like, it's not their fault.
Yeah, like definitely not.
Yeah.
Um, Visuals and interludes. Um, Kind of felt like the interludes were almost non-existent.
Yeah, they don't have the same amount of attention that like some other tours did.
Yeah. I think like the most kind of um like try hard one was the one before Sweet Melody.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I didn't particularly love it. I didn't dislike it. No strong feelings either way. Sorry guys, I might sound like I'm like shaking now and it's because my fever is coming back and I'm kind of like ugh. Um
Oh no.
so we're probably gonna wrap soon. Um as far as like the actual visuals for like the different songs and stuff, I they were not for me. Again, this is like completely subjective, and this is kind of like it's the same reason as a lot of what I said as far as like costumes and stuff like that, which is that like it felt very kind of childish to me and a little cheap. Um, and like they were just kind of like slapped together to have tour visuals. Um, and after LM5, which had like really thought out, well, their visuals weren't, but their interludes were. Um, the visuals for LM5 were actually quite sad as well. Um, but I feel like, I don't know, I just felt like they were disappointing. Which I guess really isn't specific to this tour, as I just pointed out. I really didn't like LM5 ones either. They felt very half-assed as well. Again, the visuals, not the interludes. But I felt like the interludes in LM5 kind of made up for the crappy visuals for the songs, whereas I feel like that is not really the case on
Hmm.
this tour. Um, but yeah, there was just like a lot of like kitty bright colorful filters that you would use as like a 13-year-old on Snapchat. um and like I don't know, it wasn't for me. That doesn't mean that like other people can't like them or that they were like objectively bad. It just like wasn't for me.
Yeah. Yeah, like, the interludes, like
Oh wait, sorry, sorry,
what?
sorry. Sorry, I wanted to just do a throw out to the dancer interlude. I think that one was actually really cool, and I wanted to just
Yes.
give them a shout out. That was definitely like the best interlude, and props to them.
Yeah. Um, yeah, like, the interludes, there weren't really, like, yeah, any interludes. Like, there were, like, 2 ones that I would call, like, actual interludes because I feel like a lot of the videos online don't show them, like, the not as big ones kind of. Um, but a lot of them towards the beginning were just, like, I'm trying to remember. They were like, you know, like the little live stream picture that comes up where it's like sometimes moving, sometimes not.
Mhm.
That while you're waiting for like something to start.
Uh-uh.
That's kind of the same vibes I got because it was very simple. It was nothing like in your face. It was kind of just like you're watching a tour screen, but as an interlude with like little music playing, the screen there, but like that was it. And like you were just kind of waiting for a while. Um they like didn't really have interludes until the very end with like the dancers and the like little video before Sweet Melody, which I thought those were good. Like that dancer interlude is probably one of my favorite interludes they've ever done. um so I see like why they put them at the end, like a build up almost, but I feel like in comparison to LM5 it just took like a way step down with just the amount of them and how big they were, because like in LM5 they were continuing the story, whereas in this one it was just kind of like, here's a picture, hold on, we'll be back. Or I guess video, whatever.
Here's a
um
montage.
yeah, it was kind of something like that. And then as for like the tour screens, I don't feel like too strongly one way or another about them. Like nothing really to praise, nothing really to nitpick. I feel like some were better than others, and that's that. Like they were fine, I guess.
Okay, well, that's kind of our thoughts. I don't have anything else to you.
I have like props, like the big blow upy thing.
Oh yeah,
That's kind of it. Just like all those like grew on me, like the little heartbreak anthem posts and like the chairs, microphone stands. All those I'm good with. I still don't get that blow up band shell.
that one I'm not really a fan of because kind of just looks like a kid's fun house, like a jump house.
Yeah,
Um,
much would have preferred a boxing ring. That would have been cool.
just feels a little cheap. um,
Yeah, a little distracting, I feel like, from the actual.
yeah, a little bit like it doesn't fit the vibe of the songs.
Yeah.
A little bit like they didn't actually use it.
Yeah, it was again like just kind of there.
Otherwise, the props, otherwise, I don't really have a feeling about, but that one in particular, I'm not the biggest fan of.
Yeah, that was all I had.
All right, so that is it. These are just our opinions. As always, please be respectful of us and the other people in the comment section. You don't have to agree with us. That's totally fine. You don't have to agree with anyone else in the comments. We're just, being honest and sharing our thoughts and, the things that we liked and loved and the things that we didn't really like and love. And that's it.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys next week.